At this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. The time now is 7:02 p.m. Requirements of the sunshine on this meeting was advertised in the Burns County Times on January 5th, 2017. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone out tonight. Trust everyone's been having a great summer, July 4th, and all of the other events that have been going on in and out of West Hampton Township. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Lopez.
Here.
Committeewoman Smith-Hartman.
Present.
Committeewoman Talisa.
Present.
Committeeman Wisniewski.
Here.
Mayor Daniels.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. Roll call, please.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith-Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Thank you. Workshop meeting minutes of 6/19/2017.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? There being no discussion, roll call, please.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith-Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. The regular meeting minutes of 6/19/2017.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, roll call, please.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith-Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Monthly reports and communications are posted in the bulletin board out in the foyer area. There are no scheduled appointments tonight. At this time, I would like to open up the meeting to the public for comment on agenda items, and we will stand fast to a 3-minute rule, both committee and residents. Thank you. I'll open to public comment. Ms. Berkeley.
Question about ordinance 7/2017 about salaries. It's very confusing. What do you mean by minimum and maximum? And it seems like the maximum is almost more than twice the minimum. And when there's only one position, why do you have a minimum and maximum? Shouldn't you have what you've negotiated as their salary? Or are they making 3 times or 2 times the amount of salary over 3 years?
I'd be happy to answer that if you'd like.
Sure, Maria.
Salary ordinances, first of all, are required by the state. We do them every year. The minimum is what step 1 in that position would make, and the maximum is what they're making now or close to what they're making now. So let's, for instance, I'll just pick one. If the court administrator retires tomorrow, we would hire the new court administrator at step 1. So the new administrator would make $46,977. So we need to leave it open for what could possibly happen in this calendar year.
We have no really idea what these positions are making, because they might not make the maximum, they might not be making the minimum.
From this ordinance, no, you would not. The ordinance is to supply a range. However, that's public information. You can find out easily enough what people make.
Okay. Secondly, the 2 cents that you want to increase, why do you need that?
On
Open
which,
space, why do you need the 2 cents?
that would be to continue what we have in effect right now, that essentially pays for the open space, space that around town that West Hampton may want to deem or purchase for open space, and also for our recreation area.
It seems like most of those 4 cents that we now have is towards recreation. We have one historic area under New Jersey and federal, and they have received $0 from any of these 4 cents for any projects that we want to have. And it seems like open space, we had money from the 4 cents to buy the farm for open space, and we used that money for recreation, and now we don't have that money to go for open space. We have to buy that farm, we have to find money from someone else. So it seems like if you want to do this, you need to put down exactly what it's going to be used for, and in my opinion, it seems like you're going to use it for recreation. Do not try to deceive the public and make us think that you're going to use it for buying open space or use it for historical rehabilitation when you're really using it to mow lawns for the recreation. So I think that's not being very honest and open with the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Are there any other public comments?
Gary Rivera, 138 Winstead. Mayor and committee, I'm referring to 14C, the Public Works Report. Is the committee in receipt of another Public Works report other than the one that was posted publicly in the foyer and/or made available as the package of minutes from the website?
All right. I am not in, no.
Maria, is there another Public Works report that was submitted?
I mean, for the prior month?
No, for just the...
This month, like an addendum, are you speaking to like an addended?
Yeah.
Amended or an addendum
Correct.
report? No, I'm,
This is the report submitted by the
Yes,
department head?
yes.
Yes. What,
Why?
what's your issue?
The report is not complete. There's a Township Ordinance 56-2B subsection 3 that says that the department head has to submit a report to the township of all the work performed and services furnished and the cost thereof. There are no costs listed in the report.
I'll speak through the mayor if I can.
sure.
I think what needs to happen is that the costs are broken down. We get a giant, and this is also made public to the residents. So in prior practices, the committee has accepted this as, and I'm assuming I wasn't here before, has accepted this as the financial reporting to the township governing body. This is not included, or a separate section of this is not included in that report. Something that could be done moving forward if we want to highlight the public works portion of the bill list into the public works report. So that could justify that. But we've had multiple conversations on different public works expenditures that we get on this report, but I hear you loud and clear. It's not married to the public works report. So
For the
That's,
record, are you holding up the bill list?
yes,
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We
The
have
bill
a bill
list is broken up by department, so that shows you the
Yeah.
cost for every meeting.
and this is made public. You guys get this on the filing of the meeting agenda 40, or by law, it should be 48 hours before the meeting. But I'm hearing you that you would like to review this with the actual report when that report is made public.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Any other?
Mr. Lopez.
Okay. Hello?
Been a long time. My name
Has
is
been.
Louis Dixon. I'm a Burlington County resident, I'm Burlington County, reside in Mount Holly. I want to say,
Your name and address for the record.
98 Riverside, Mount Holly Township. I want to thank first your, deputy mayor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for coming for the NBA meeting, I appreciate it, and all the members. Okay, no question, but that's what I'm saying. I got 3 questions I would like to ask. I want about the service workshop, I want, if I can ask that, a question.
This is
That's on
on
agenda
agenda
items
items.
only.
You can
At the end.
Okay.
at the end.
I got 3 resolutions, I think 15B, 16A. Can you clarify for me?
You said 15B?
Yeah, 15B and
On the audit?
16A.
Okay, remember. Yeah. 15B, what was your question?
You can clarify,
What's the point of that?
what's the point, I mean, clarify more?
This resolution certifies that all members of the governing body have reviewed and are familiar with the contents of the
Just
annual.
update a policy, something like that?
Yeah, well, basically, it's just memorializing that each member of this governing body has had an opportunity to look at, review, and quite frankly, understand the 2016 audit. And basically, by way of a resolution, we'll be memorializing that. And did that answer your question?
Yeah,
And you said 16A?
yeah, 16A.
Okay, ordinance authorizing extension of open space tax. That's the tax that, that's the question that Ms. Berkeley had prior. So essentially, this ordinance authorizes submission to the voters of West Hampton Township at the general election of November 7th, 2017, and for an extension of our open space tax, 0.02 cents per $100 of assessed value for a period not to exceed 20 years. And this is basically to continue and enforce a open space tax that we already have in place that is due to sunset here soon.
And the last one is the 19, it's on August 1st, right?
Yes, correct.
That's the same time as the Lumberton.
Well, that night, chances are almost every municipality will have one. I do know that it's a few that are having it on off nights or different nights. But yeah, we're looking forward to having a great one that night.
I had like real difficult choice, making one.
Now, I'm biased here, but West Hampton has the best national night out in Burlington County. So if you needed to pick which one to go to, if I were you, I'd come up to West Hampton.
We're done. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We get the point. Who's the current, who?
Township
Solicitor. Mr. Al Mamaro
Yeah,
is the current township solicitor.
Okay, thank you, I apprete it.
okay.
You're welcome,
Thanks,
sir.
sir. Any further public comment? Close public comment. Moving right along the agenda, I'd like to thank everyone for their comments. No,
I do have something. On the old business, you want it?
yeah, no continued agenda items. Old business?
I just wanted to follow up, maybe.
Yes, ma'am.
This is on, when Aiden Sharp from the Boy Scouts had come last meeting. He came before, he said that he was going to do a project for Timbuktu. And he gave us a list of what he wanted to do, and it is for his Eagle Scout designation. He was supposed to follow up with Timbuktu committee. So I was wondering if he did, and did they approve it?
That's a good question.
I saw Miss Mary. Would she happen
Yeah.
to know? All right.
Yeah. I can tell you that I spoke with the chairman last week and was in contact with the chairman tonight, and I have a report on that, but he did not mention that Aiden had got in touch with him. So perhaps after this meeting, what we'll do is reach out to Ms. Curran, who was his handler, and we'll find out where that stands.
I have had contact with Mr. Sharp. I gave him access, our approval to go
Yes.
on to township-owned property, and he did reach out and correspond with email with Mike Meenan, our Public Works Director,
Okay.
about possible supplies that Mike might have on hand to help him out. I will send him another email. I know he went on vacation shortly after he was here. I will give him Mr. Weston. I believe I gave it to him again already, but I will give him Mr. Weston's contact.
Just to make sure, because there, a few things he wanted to do which sound wonderful, but the committee would be the ones to determine whether it can be approved or not.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Any additional old business? That was it? Okay, thank you. New business, police report. Chief? Anyone have any questions, police department? No? Okay. Thank you, Chief, and I guess we'll wrap it up in our reports, but I'd like to thank you, and by extension, the Police Department FOP, for as always, the yeoman's work on the National Night Out, and look forward to a great time to be had, to include fireworks. Thank you. EMS report, Chief Farnsworth? Okay, and Fire Marshal back there? Sir, I'd like to thank you for your service most recently. We had a vehicle, I understand, gentlemen, you had to extract, and as a result of that, sir, you caught some poison ivy. So just want to let you know that I'm very aware of what you do out there, and thank you for that. Thank you, sir. Public Works report, Mr. Meenan's not here tonight. Engineering, inspection, and status report. Doug, any? No? Thank you. Well, moving right along to resolutions. Resolution 100-17, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 7/14/2017.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, roll call, please.
Lopez?
Yes.
Smith Hartman?
Yes.
Talisa?
Yes.
Wisniewski?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes, thank you. Resolution 101-17, 2016 audit. This resolution certifies that all members of the governing body have reviewed and are familiar with the contents of the annual municipal audit, especially the sections entitled Comments and Recommendations.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just want to point out that the auditor did a really good job in preparing the report. It was really plain language for me, at least, so I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lopez?
Yes.
Smith Hartman?
Yes.
Talisa?
Yes.
Wisniewski?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes. Right along. Resolution 102-17, refund taxes. This resolution authorizes the refund of taxes in the amount of $1,194.89. Block 101-11, Lot 7, 25 Spyglass Court, due to an overpayment.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lopez?
Yes.
Smith Hartman?
Yes.
Talisa?
Yes.
Wisniewski?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes. Resolution 103-17, authorized participation in the electronic tax sale program. This resolution authorizes West Hampton Township's participation in a pilot program for an electronic tax sale. What say you?
Motion.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, roll call.
Lopez?
Yes.
Smith Hartman?
Yes.
Talisa?
Yes.
Wisniewski?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes. Resolution 104-17, award construction contract for Wood Lane Road sidewalk improvements. This resolution awards the contract to the second lowest bidder for this project, S. Batata Construction, in the amount of $206,335. Due to the death of the owner of CurbCon, Inc., the original winning bidder for the project, the difference in the contract price is an additional $24,897.50.
Motion.
Motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Lopez?
Yes.
Smith Hartman?
Yes.
Talisa?
Yes.
Wisniewski?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes. Ordinances. Ordinance 6-2017, ordinance authorizing an extension of open space tax. This is a second reading. This ordinance authorizes submission to the voters of West Hampton Township at the general election of November 7, 2017, an extension of the open space tax, 0.02 per $100 of assessed value for a period not to exceed 20 years.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to make one quick comment on it. I hear loud and clear from Mrs. Berkeley and other residents who may have been concerned about uses of open space funds. The state law does allow, or the purpose of the open space fund is to preserve open space. And with regards to use of recreational department or the recreation using those funds for it, they shouldn't be used for purposes outside of promoting open space and passive recreation. I believe is one of the uses. Passive and or active recreation. So long as it honors that, and I personally am a big proponent of improving passive and active recreation on the Rancocas Creek. I think it's something that most of, or everybody on this committee has voted or spoken up in favor of, and I'd like to see some more than sound bites and words from us moving forward in investing in that and ensuring that residents do have a place to use their kayaks and their canoes. We were talking earlier in the public workshop about fishing and, just stimulating that. But I do hear residents loud and clear. There's an expectation that we honor the intention of it, and I will do my best to watch that as well. So I just wanted to point that out.
All right. I guess clearly understanding that there should be a healthy blend of preserving open space and with the passive and active
Recreation.
recreation. And I actually was looking for the actual words pursuant to our vision statement, but if I get a chance to come to it at the end, I will. What say you?
We have to open this for a public hearing?
Second. Oh, that's right, this is second. Apologies. Open to the public? Sparkly? Yes, ma'am.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And the 2 cents will not be used to mow the lawns in the recreation center, the athletic fields.
I missed that.
Say that one more time.
Can you assure me that the 2 cents will not be used just to mow lawns at the athletic fields?
Yeah, definitely. Since I've been here on this township committee, I've voted for nothing outside of the houses that have been purchased, which are now going to be in perpetuity open space houses, as far as since I've been here in the last year and a half.
We
I
do use open space to maintain the sports complex.
But the sports complex is a public facility for passive and active recreation, which honors our needs. If not, we wouldn't be able to do that. So it's within. We shouldn't solely be using it for that, and we don't. Since I've been here, we've been voting on houses, Timbuktu projects, substantial investments have been made around Timbuktu. So someone's got to maintain the parks and the sports fields. And if it's a permittable or a permissible portion, and we're not paying a public works person who's doing work in the community, right, money from that fund for work that's not park related, that's a red flag. That's a major issue.
But, you know, we don't charge anybody who lives outside of West Hampton any kind of fee that goes towards maintaining the fields. If I want to swim at Torrance Field, I have to pay a membership. Why aren't we charging Lumberton, East Hampton, Southampton, Rutgers University to come use our fields, and we're paying to have them mowed?
That's a good point, and tonight we discussed in the public workshop that this township and governing body has thought it well to introduce an ordinance or revise the current township ordinance. Anyone who's using township facilities moving forward, especially the recreational facilities, will have to pay their fair share. And we also discussed the need to distinguish between local township nonprofit organizations that serve more than 75% of residents in West Hampton and outside organizations and for-profit organizations. So stay tuned, because the township administrator has been diligently working on a thorough and comprehensive policy on using the courtroom, the rooms that we have here, and also all recreational facilities.
I think then we need to do a survey and find out what percentage of West Hampton kids really use our fields.
I'll even add, since you mentioned that, there's also prioritization of who has...
Well, I got 3 minutes. So the other thing is the HPC is redoing their ordinances. And we would like to have things that make our town in Rancocas, the only one on the historic register, more historic. But I can't tell someone you need to put a brick sidewalk in your front yard because it's too expensive. I think some of that money needs to go for grants for people who live in the historic district at the HPC that says we would like to see this happen to make our town look more historic. They can apply for some of that 2 cents to be able to do that, because I cannot, in good conscience, ask people to spend their own money for a historic district that benefits the whole West Hampton.
We have to talk to our solicitor about that, but,
You couldn't do that. It's open space.
but we have, but please know that when
Historic, you're talking about historic.
If there's a historic open space area that we can preserve and we can purchase, we can use open space funds. But to use open space funds to literally subsidize a private homeowner's renovations on their house, it's not happening.
So they can mow lawns but not help some.
They're not mowing lawns. They're preserving and maintaining the public park.
And public property that's purchased with Green Acres funds, I'll defer to the solicitor, we have to have open to everybody. There can be no beneficial preference for West Hampton people.
And you do realize
When we've used state Green Acres funds.
Green Acres funds cannot be used to mow lawns. And I looked that up, and I'll show you the Green Acres.
Green Acres fund is used to purchase the land. They
Right.
don't, that money only goes to the deed of the property. They don't give us a check. But if we maintain that property, we have to have it open to the public, to New Jersey residents.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Close the public comment. We have a first, we have a second. There's been discussion. Roll call.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 7-2017, salary ordinance. This is a first reading. This ordinance sets the compensation and salaries of municipal court, public works, construction, finance, tax, and administrative personnel for the year 2017.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Resolution 8-2017, salary ordinance. This is a first reading. This ordinance sets the compensation and salaries of full-time firefighters / EMTs for the year 2017.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Nope.
Roll call.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Resolution 9-2017, salary ordinance. This is a first reading. This ordinance sets the compensation and salaries of the fire chief, the chief of police, and lieutenant for the year 2017.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Ordinance 10-2017, salary ordinance. This is a first reading. This ordinance sets the compensation and salaries of police officers.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Lopez.
Yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Talisa.
Yes.
Wisniewski.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes. Thank you. Moving right along to correspondence. There is none unless someone has any.
I received, and I think we all received, I just want to acknowledge for the record, a piece of correspondence from the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 147, discussing personnel-related matters, but I just wanted to publicly confirm that we received that piece of communication. Also received a communication from a Mr. E.W. Boyle. It's regarding a letter to the editor that he had submitted to the Burlington County Times. It wasn't published, and he wanted the Township Committee or myself, and it says the mayor, to be cognizant of the content of his letter to the editor. And since it wasn't published, he wanted to make sure that we received it, so I received that copy. So those are the two correspondences I've received.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else have anything else? There being none, moving right along. Dates to remember. Tuesday, August 1st, from 7 to 9 p.m. is National Night Out, 1 Academy Drive, Public Safety Building. Chief or Lieutenant, you got anything else to add?
No, that the fireworks will be, shortly after 9 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
Obviously, the best seats in the house will be up at the PCIT area for those attending.
Awesome.
There was also very good seats at Charlie Brown's. They were excellent from there.
Awesome. Thank you. August the 12th, what WT?
That date is changed.
Emergency services.
Right.
September 23rd?
Okay. Smoke detector testing in Torranceville in conjunction with the Red Cross. Chief, do you want to elaborate? Or?
So over the last couple of years, the fire department's been doing door-to-door smoke detector inspections. Our goal this year was to do 25% of the town. We completed all of our hills this year, and Torranceville being the largest, one of the largest neighborhoods, we reached out to the Red Cross for some help and support to get that done. They've dove in to help us. They're going to provide volunteers, they're going to provide smoke detectors,
Wow.
the whole thing, so we'll be there to support them to complete it. The main reason we chose Torranceville instead of, just people ask, why not Spring Meadows or other developments, is developments like Spring Meadows have been built with hardwired smoke detectors.
That's right.
They're not battery operated since the fire codes changed. So that's why we're giving Torranceville built done this year, the whole part of the community that doesn't have hardwired smoke detectors. And then next year we'll move on to another part of town. And like I said, over 4 years, it's our plan to get the entire
Craig, on the second floor, the upstairs in Torrance-Field are hardwired. You know that, right? Yeah, they are. Back then, it was required that the upstairs, only the upstairs had to, and it's just been in the last probably 15 years that they said that you can put a battery operated on the first level, but the second level has to be
It is hard.
hardwired, and it has to be replaced with hardwire.
But don't wire need to be replaced every 10 years?
That's according to the manufacturers, right?
I know that firsthand, they start keeping like crazy.
As we replace the smoke detectors, they're getting replaced with 10-year lithium-ion smoke detectors. So there's no longer going to be a need to change batteries, so you just not change the battery. It's sort of going to slowly go away as we get more smoke detectors that last 10 years.
Okay. And you know, Chief, I think we take it for granted that if you're hardwired, that you don't have to replace those smoke detectors, that for some reason that they last in perpetuity, but they don't.
They don't.
So perhaps we
have
can
an
ramp up,
expiration.
that education as well. And also for the public's edification, and I will direct any potential volunteer to the chief that the Red Cross will be having training on how to go into homes and actually install those smoke detectors. There will be, I believe, some like light breakfast and lunch afterwards, and from what I understand, some 10 teams for 10 four-man or four-person teams. So,
And one final note, this is, because of being in real estate, you know, I'm pretty privy to what goes on with the smoke detectors. A lot of people put them in the kitchen. They're not supposed to be in the kitchen. It's supposed to be at the base of the stairs. But a lot of people do it, and then what they do is, when they're cooking something, then they pull the batteries out so.
you'll be on my team, of course, right?
Okay.
I think our fire marshal could answer that, right?
Awesome. Are there any further dates to remember? Further dates to remember?
July 30th, Grace Alliance Chapel is going to do a West Hampton cleanup day along the same lines that Kingdom Church did.
Okay.
They sent me their certificate of insurance today. And,
Are we named as an additional
And I talked
insured?
to Mike Meenan, our Public Works Director, and he said the same areas, you know, wind blows and trash accumulates, so we're going to do a very similar, much fewer people, but it was nice of them to reach out
Yeah.
and say if they wanted help.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay, you have a date.
Just want to bring to everyone's attention, our annual Timbuktu Day, we only have today, will be held on September 23rd.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. And by way of further explanation, I was in contact with the communication with the chair, Mr. Guy Weston, just this evening, and he notified me that he will be coming to our very next Township Committee meeting to give us a pretty full report on what's been happening, probably some more details on our Timbuktu Day and some visions moving forward with the committee. At this time, with there being no further dates to remember, I will open to the public, public comment. It's Jonathan Wright.
Jonathan Wright, 18 Glasgow Road. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying your summer.
Raise the mic, I'm sorry.
Where's the mic? Yep. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer. I wanted to say thank you to Mayor Lopez and Committeewoman Smith-Hartman for coming to the Mount Holly MUA meeting and representing West Hampton and bringing up some of the inequality in the rates between Mount Holly and the other towns in the RV district. I only wanted to speak because I do have one concern, and it's been talked about a lot lately, and it keeps coming up. I think it's worth looking into further, and the discussions have been eye-opening, honestly. The discussion surrounds itself, it's about our previous solicitor and some of the inappropriate, or at least undisclosed relationships he may have had. Personal or business relationships when he was supposed to be representing West Hampton. He was also working on contracts that were voted on without a committee even reading them. My question is, since there's been a lot of questions raised about this, there hasn't been anything done about it yet. we've just kind of been talking about what's happening in the past. And I know West Hampton is currently being sued, but I feel that we have been done wrong. And I want to know what we can do about that. The question is, why don't we have an independent investigation? Somebody from outside of West Hampton. They don't even have to be from here. Make sure it's totally independent. I don't believe it will cost us anything to do that. And that way we can know, did something unethical or corrupt happen? I just bring this up because I think the township potentially has a case for a malpractice suit on its hand, especially since somebody's trying to sue us, and I think we weren't represented well. I mean, the whole point of having a solicitor is to look out for West Hampton Township, the Township Committee, us as a whole, not for their friend who is applying for a job. And, if that's not malpractice, I don't know what is. To me, it's glaringly obvious. So I would like to ask each of you individually if you would support an inquiry such as that. Mr. Wisniewski, Lopez.
Well, I don't know. I don't answer for that. We haven't had any discussion. And I know as far as anything that has to do with the other litigation, I really don't have much of a comment.
That aside, and I agree, and that's a fair point. I would say that you guys might have discussed it yet, but would you be willing to discuss it and maybe bring that on the agenda for a future meeting? I do think it's something that should be pursued. Again, I know you weren't on the township committee when that all happened. So
no, I agree, and I think that any time that there is anytime there's something that may have slighted West Hampton in any aspect, whether it's, a lower level employee doing something wrong or something really big and major, I think everything should be considered. So I wouldn't rule anything out. I just know that we haven't had any discussion, so.
Okay, and like I said, nothing has been done at this point, so I just wanted to make sure.
I'll answer since you told all of us.
Well, so thank you, Mr. Wisniewski, for your answer, and I guess let's go right down the line, Mr. Deputy.
No, since you asked everybody. You raised a good point. I am probably the first one who brought up what I found to be an inappropriate transaction, if you will. I wasn't also, just like Mr. Wisniewski, Committeeman Wisniewski was not serving on the committee at the time of that. And I think it's really black and white what happened. The contract was negotiated by the township to solicitor. And just to be clear with my colleagues, because we've discussed this, we're not discussing litigation matters of litigation. I'm not trying to engage you on the litigation portion of your question. I'm talking about the solicitor portion of your question. A contract was negotiated. At the time, I found the contract to be very, very disproportionate with regards to the raises that were being promised or committed compared to other departments, other directors. That particular contract guaranteed a raise of $30,000 in a short period of 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. That was highly inappropriate. And then I've stated, and I think you pointed out too, I stated on this dais, the solicitor is listed as the registered incorporator of a business to the person who received the contract that was rather lucrative. Our current township labor attorney also says that the language in there of that contract is really slippery in the sense that he believes it suggests that the recipient of the contract or the award is guaranteed lifetime health benefits regardless of terms of service. So that's why I sounded the alarms and I raised the flags about that. What I believe is unethical, all right, very unethical, is the fact that the former solicitor had this either professional or personal relationship with Mr. Carty, who was the recipient of the contract. And the relationship is that Mr. Carty owns a local business or some business called Local Strategies LLC. When you look up Local Strategies LLC, the incorporator is Mr. Sepanero. And this LLC was created years ago, all right, before any of us or before I was on this township committee. On a 2013 2014 financial disclosure form that Mr. Carty filed and submitted. It stated that he's the 100% sole owner of Local Strategies LLC. So as the sole owner of Local Strategies LLC, and to have our township solicitor registered as the incorporator of that business, not only that, the actual mailing address of the LLC filed with the state secretary. Hey, colleagues. The LLC is registered to the business address of Mr. Saponaro. So there was a relationship there before Mr. Carty was hired on the township committee. And it's my understanding from my colleagues that, or the colleagues that were here at the time, that relationship was not disclosed. So there's no question about that. I think it should be clear to all of our colleagues that are current now on the committee that that should have been disclosed. So I'll say that. Now, to the final point, why haven't you guys done anything about it? You're absolutely right. It seems like we argue and we talk about these issues, or we discuss them, and nothing happens, and we don't pursue justice for the residents. Some, I know Trish has been, stated a couple of times, she's acknowledged that some things may have been inappropriate or looked or were just inappropriate, but let's not relitigate the past, and let's move forward.
No, I didn't say inappropriate.
Okay, but let's not, but you get what I'm saying, right? Paraphrasing.
Yeah, but not that word.
Paraphrasing. Or she suggested, she acknowledges residents' concerns about a particular subject and the appearance of what something, in my words, look inappropriate, and she says, let's move forward. But I'm hearing the root of your concern is that we keep moving forward, and when is it that you address this matter? I do believe something, I will use the word unethical, I won't say illegal, but something unethical that borders on inappropriate. And if this was done knowingly, that there was a relationship, a pre-existing relationship before that contract was negotiated, you are crossing the line, in my humble opinion, of corruption or public corruption. It's unfair for township employees to self-investigate one another here. I agree with you wholeheartedly, that's inappropriate. But if you're asking tonight, should that go to a county prosecutor to investigate and serve as an independent watchdog on this matter and let us know, was this inappropriate? I'm in favor of that, and I'm not opposed to that. I'll make a motion tonight for that, in the sense that that could be a way for us to seek some relief from what has been done, that, in my humble opinion, is inappropriate and unethical. So if that's what you're looking for, an independent person to do that, I would recommend the county prosecutor. Let the county prosecutor take a look at this. I'm using the word unethical. The county prosecutor can determine what is the appropriate word to describe that action. And we may have actionable. So anyways, I'll make that motion.
I'd appreciate if you would, because I don't think there's any reason to keep waiting over this. So I appreciate it.
Well, I would say that,
I'm not.
Everybody else has spoken.
I understand what you're saying.
John, you've already had your time, though.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I don't know if we're going to go in order or what.
Well, let Mr. Mayor,
This is
let
another
Mr.
setup, just like it was last month where we did not talk about this in closed session or in the session prior to this, so it's an open session. And again, you're being set up with the MUA. That was not discussed prior to the meeting. And again, tonight, it's this. So it's a no. Unless we talk about this, not tonight, but time to think about it, I don't even know what the allegations are,
What's to
what you're
think about?
referring to. There's no motion. I mean, a motion on what?
I said I'm considering making a motion based on what he just recommended.
And like I said, I don't even know what allegations you're talking about. I mean,
Well, then you
state
really haven't been,
allegations.
okay, you haven't been paying
But
attention. But you've
and
ignored,
that's what I have.
you ignored Mr. Mayor, who is,
Marine.
I am tired of another script tonight.
So Mayor Andre Daniels.
Yeah, I'll speak last.
Okay.
Do you?
I had my piece. No, I had my piece, absolutely.
I'm going to
It's being set up just like it is every month. You have certain people out there, they have their scripts.
Who's certain people?
Tonight it's you, Jonathan. Last
What
month
am I
it
doing?
was John Mumbauer, and it's about...
What about John Mumbauer? He's a taxpayer here. What about him?
He's
No,
not
but I'm just saying, it's...
Well, he's not here tonight, so what would you like to say about
If you
it?
want me to speak,
Let's not
I
have
am
the back and
speaking.
forth.
No.
Mr. Wright, I appreciate.
Well, she just has made an accusation, so I would like...
No accusation, it's the idea that...
No, you just said I came up here with a script, right?
Before the meeting, we never discussed MUA, and then suddenly it came up where a few people...
But I, as an individual, don't have to discuss anything with any of you guys
All right,
before a meeting.
I'm saying I will not talk about it unless we discuss it
Okay.
at executive session or the sessions prior to the meeting. Like, it could have been brought up before.
Okay, and I don't appreciate,
What I would
accusations
like-
about my intentions or what I've
I
done.
really have nothing to say.
Okay, yeah, you never do, so that's great.
I would like to answer that question. I think I deserve a chance.
Yeah, sure.
I was not, yeah. I was not here when this contract was made, but when I did see it, I felt as though that the solicitor was supposed to be working in the best interest of the town, and I don't think that he did. I don't know who gets lifetime benefits. So I definitely would be in favor of hiring an outside person to take a look at it. You know, maybe he did the right thing. I don't think so, but I would definitely be in favor of an outside person taking a look at the contract and what Mr. Saponaro, what his intentions were and what his relationship was with that person. So definitely, we're being sued. I feel as though I actually wanted to countersue, to tell you the truth, but I've been told no. So, no, I'm definitely in favor of an investigation.
Thank you.
So just for the record, and then you want to say it, so if you agree, then I'll make that motion tonight.
Well, I think Andre has the right to...
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
I guess for me, obviously, I was here, and I think that it has been documented ad nauseum, my comments and my opinions on the subject, how I voted during that time. Obviously, there's litigation, and which I am part personally, as well as involved from an official role standpoint, so I'll stay far afoul of that. But I guess what I would say that if someone, a resident as such tonight, has brought it to our attention while we are in official session, then there is an appearance and there is an onus placed upon us as an elected official, I believe, from a fiduciary obligation or fiduciary perspective, to seek out and make sure that the public's trust was well represented. I am not going to go as far as to assign whether there was anything that rises to the level of criminality, malfeasance, or any of those things. I don't know. I know that there's some allegations, and that's how I'll couch my words, by way of saying that it's alleged that there may have been some improprieties based on things that I've seen vis-a-vis social media and just heard by way of scuttlebutt, which if I take those two in its entirety, I may just walk out of this meeting and shake hands and say, enjoy the rest of your summer until the month of August. However, I think that they rise to the level of being more than moderately concerned if they were found to be truthful based on things that have happened. Yeah, I would be open to someone from an outside looking at it. Surely, as from a colloquial perspective, if this had been brought up in perhaps closed session, it's something that obviously would have risen to the might of being discussed and open.
You can't discuss this,
yeah. It would have been discussed in open session. So, at the end of the day, obviously we can't self-govern or self-regulate by having me, for instance, saying, Chief, I want you to investigate the merits of such claim. Obviously, we would have to get some independent body to further look at this. So,
on that note, Mr. Mayor, if I can, I'd make a motion. Number one, you want to do something that doesn't cost taxpayers any money. Number two, you want someone who represents the letter of the law, and there's no person greater than the county prosecutor. The county prosecutor is assigned or has taken an oath to serve this county and to look into matters like this and serve as an independent watchdog, legal watchdog for township governing bodies, any residents. So I would make a motion tonight that this township sends a formal communication to the county prosecutor asking them to look into, frankly, they're my allegations. I brought them up to the public, and quite frankly, I believe they're indisputable allegations. The fact that Mr. Saponaro had a pre-existing relationship I'm not even mentioning the name, we've already said it, but it doesn't matter with who, with someone, a former employee of this township at the time of the negotiating of that contract. So my motion is that we, this governing body, send a formal communication and request to the county prosecutor to look into what was known, what was inappropriate about the negotiating, should there have been any refusals, and to do a deep dive into why did this happen. So that's my motion.
And I'm going to second that motion.
And would there be an issue of disclosure?
As far as the disclosure of
Yeah.
yeah, they should have disclosed, yeah. The prosecutor should look into all of that, yeah. Motion second.
Township Administrator, Schatz, you got anything to add to that? Is there?
My concern is, and I don't know the history, I don't want to have taxpayer dollars go to investigate something in the past, but I don't know what the role of county prosecutor is, so I don't have the information.
Yeah, they wouldn't charge us for looking into something.
If, it would really be within prosecutorial discretion whether or not they decided to take up the investigation, but it wouldn't cost the township anything to bring this to the county's attention.
My concern is that there's an active litigation going on right now, and it's going to be intertwined, so isn't that going to be a concern?
No, it's two separate issues.
Two separate issues. The lawsuit is
I'm
alleging.
asking the solicitor.
I'm just going to say thank you
I'm
for
not
my
familiar
public
with that
comment.
other
You guys are,
litigation, so I
thanks for answering, John.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Are we in the
Was that
discussion phase?
Brian?
Yeah, I think
I'm not familiar with the other litigation, so I can't comment.
Are we in the discussion phase?
It will intertwine with what they want to do.
But I make it clear that they make the motion subject to, I don't know,
If we're in a discussion phase, what I would like to say is, I came in here with no new information. I don't know anything about this, and it's being brought up, and I think that it's a bad habit to make a motion at the last second, especially if things aren't discussed. That's all I have to say.
Should we take roll call?
Yeah, take roll.
Aaron,
Any other
should we take roll
discussion?
call?
Roll call?
Lopez,
yes.
Smith Hartman.
Yes.
Felisa,
No.
Wisniewski,
Abstain.
Daniels.
Yes. Any other public comment? So, Lopez? No, that's dead. That's Mr. Lopez, and then we'll go to you.
My name is Louis Lopez, 9811 Drive. I'd like to really, where that gentleman say, what's the outcome of, I just read this story about a couple months ago about a ex-employee, J.C. Cardi, who used to live in West Hampton, now is a current resident in Leamington. And that's not correct, is, well, I heard, from resident friends is that it's wrong what he did. West End should automatic win the case.
Yeah, I
That's,
can't.
that's my,
I won't.
opinion.
I can appreciate your question, sir, Mr. Lopez, but I'm not going to comment on it one way.
No, there.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm not just curious, I mean, just, you could bring it up, not right here, but also in different, town, who's he moving, from town to town. Okay.
Thank you.
That.
I understand the gist of your comments.
Okay, second question is, the sewage connection for the entire West Hampton community, that goes to Mount Holly or to one in Winterboro?
It's divided, if I can, through the mayor?
Sure.
It's,
One second.
Yeah.
I have to get a phone call.
okay. It's divided between the two. So there's portions of the town that are serviced by the Mount Holly Municipal Utilities Authority, and there's portions of the town that are serviced by the Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority. District 1, I believe, is the predominant district that is serviced, or the only district that is serviced by the Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority. The rest of the town is either serviced by the Mount Holly Municipal Utilities Authority, or some residents even have running wells, I believe, still in the township.
I got a question from viewers. Are you going to ask them for a seat at the Winterborg MBA since half of the residents of West Hampton go through Mount Holly MBA and not Mount Holly Township?
From my perspective, I believe, taxation without representation is something that is analogous to our constitutional rights, particularly from a we the people perspective, that if you have bodies where individuals have bought in a fair interest into by way of rates and fees, that they should have some degree of a voice or representation thereby on that particular governing body that has oversight. Having said that, I know that we have submitted a letter stating as such as a body. We've memorialized it, sent it to them. Ultimately, the Mount Holly Township Council reserves first and last right, if you will, to assign who they choose to assign. So that's my take on it.
And as a direct message to you, Mayor, what's your point of view of the Mount Holly MBA rate reading? As we heard from Aaron Norton here, a good speech. I mean, half of the West Hampton Township. Wondering what's your opinion? I'm just curious.
I think that my colleagues most aptly represented the concerns of not only this body, but also residents who were in attendance that night. I understand, and by way of watching social media, that several residents acknowledged that the deputy mayor's performance that night was what's the best word I'm looking for? Was right and well where it needed to be from a representative standpoint. Again, I would just echo my earlier comments that anytime you have a deliberative body in which people are vested within that deliberative body, fairness, decency probably should rule the day. I don't want any West Hampton resident, as the mayor who sits here, appointed by my colleagues, any resident to pay anything extra or more or different from a fairness, decency, and equity standpoint than any other resident would have to pay in any of the other sending districts to that governing body. In this particular instance, it would be the Mount Holly MUA vis-a-vis the Mount Holly Township Committee. So that's pretty much where I stand on that West Hampton should not be paying anything more or different or outside of fairness, decency, and equity. And in the instance that there's an opportunity for a West Hampton resident to serve on the body by way of a board member, I think that they should do so with all deliberate speed.
I got one question. I think probably you can answer this. What's the outcome of I know Jason has been released from the fire chief, I think from last year. What was the outcome of that decision? Can you really?
Yeah, you're past your 3 minutes, so I'm gonna try to be fair and answer the question.
He was asking what was the outcome of the termination of the position of fire chief that Jason Cardi
It's in
held.
litigation.
It's in litigation.
Yeah.
That's the outcome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious. I see what's the outcome. I haven't been here for a while.
Okay, thank you.
And
Mr. Lopez, we're over the 3 minutes.
Okay, I just want to one last. If anybody want to hear a meeting, the meeting of today is going to be on my YouTube video. That's one word, Mount Holly MEA. Thank you.
We thank you. We thank you for your open reporting.
Thank you for coming.
Sparkle?
I hope we can all leave on such a positive thought now. I would like to publicly thank the West Hampton Police and the West Hampton Fire Department, who, excuse me, I'm a little emotional, who came to rescue my neighbor. It's a letter in your agenda. I hope you read it. I also sent one to Chief Farnsworth. I am so proud of our fire and police. Just to recap for the public, my neighbor who was homebound had not been heard of for a couple of days, and she always answers her phone. And so Gil and I had gone to her house, so our car was in the driveway, could not get a hold of her, so we called the police, who came right away, and not just one, but several. And then they called the fire department, and they were able to go into an upstairs door so that it could still be safe, and they went in and found that she had been deceased for a couple of days. And they were just so compassionate and so wonderful. And they were there for several hours because they had to have PSE&G come, turn off the electricity. They were trying to find out who the family was, and I was so pleased. And even before they broke in, they tried to find out if she'd been taken to the hospital so they wouldn't have to break into her home. And it's such a sad thing, but I'm just amazed that they were, I'm not amazed they're that wonderful, but even afterwards, Detective Shapiro contacted the family, and even now, a week and a half later, is still working with the family to help them secure the body, get a funeral, find out how to get the mortgage and pay the taxes. And the family has expressed to me to express to you how grateful they are, because they live in Pennsylvania, and it's very hard. And I'm just so proud to be a West Hampton resident, and so proud to have such great men and women serve us. So I'd like to thank you.
Ms. Brown. I think it goes without saying, if I was to use a football analogy, our police and fire department are like the unsung offensive linemen. You know they're doing your job when you don't hear their numbers called, but we know that our police and fire, that number's called daily, often, many times during the course of the day, and I think, sure.
One of the concerns is people who live alone, not knowing how to get into their house, not knowing their relatives. And this had come up a long time ago, well before even Chief Carty was chief, that somehow there could be, and I know with TEPA you have to be very careful, some kind of form that especially senior citizens could fill out so that they could say, so-and-so has a key. Here are my family numbers to call. Here's how to get in. Here's a hospital I want to be taken to. Because not everyone has a medical alert button. But in this instance, fortunately, one of the neighbors knew something about the father in Philadelphia. Otherwise, we'd have no clue how to get a hold. So I don't know.
Chief, do we have something akin to, not to cut you off, Ms. Berkeley, I'm sorry, something akin to like a Knox box type situation for senior residents, or?
Actually, what can happen is they can contact either our office, the police department, or through the contact fire department, and they can give us certain information that they want us to put at our central dispatch. So if an incident occurs at that address, it will automatically pop up on the dispatcher screen. Information such as if there's an emergency, please contact my sister, my brother, whoever, things they want us to know of importance, that can all be put on there, and that can be broadcasted to us either, via radio or by phone when needed. So, that's something we can put out, maybe we can put out on our next or something that they could reach out to us. We don't have a specific form, when it goes as far as what hospital you want to go to and things like that. Pray to address that better. But they're going to take you to the closest hospital.
Right. But who has a key to your house?
Right. Well, that's information we could add. If there's an emergency here, they live alone, please call Ms. Berkeley at this number. She has a key. That's something we can put in the dispatch notice. We can put in that.
In certain conditions, right? We've discussed this time and time again about the training of our men and women dealing with the mentally ill. I got a brother schizophrenic, and my parents, wherever town they move in, they go to the police department, and in that same system, they flag their house as someone who's schizophrenic, lives here, and should my family need to call a crisis unit, they'll know right away there's somebody who's schizophrenic, and they need to come a little bit more sensitive for that issue. So it's a great system, and I agree with you. We should do more to flag it and highlight it.
Okay.
And just to add, us doing those smoke detector checks has also opened up those doors.
Mm.
When the house can see what's going on, and we've taken quite a few properties that we've been in and added those flags on that. Dispatch center 12 that we can see. We also have a program called Power of Life. That's more fill out a form, put it on your refrigerator. So that way if you're unconscious or whatever, all your emergency contact is there. This program we've been doing probably 15 years now. So every time that this sort of put it back out there again and recycle it out for all the new residents that are in town.
Okay.
We can do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Berkeley. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Closed public comment. At this time, comments? Chief? Awesome. LT? Fire Marshal? And thank you, Fire Marshal, for me contacting you 2 Sundays ago. I was at an event, and it got around that we had a restaurant that was closed due to serving things that weren't necessarily for human consumption. Wasn't the case. And right at that event, I was able to assure all of those assembled to stop those scurrilous remarks and innuendo about a business in our town that, in fact, there was a fire and it was closed for repair. So just that quickly, and it was a Sunday, and generally speaking, I don't like to contact anyone on a Sunday, but I felt as though this rose to a level of concern for our township, and just wanted to quell those fears because it was some official folks in the room, and wanted to make sure that, in fact, our township was okay. Mr. Solicitor?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Ma'am?
I'm fine, thank you.
Area?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Mr. Engineer? Anything? Sure.
I just want to thank the residents for coming out, professionals. Keep up the good work. Department heads, keep up the good work. I still see daylight outside, so I'm done.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm extremely frustrated because we have an agenda every week, what we're going to talk about to the residents. But besides that, we have a list of issues and things that we want to discuss over the course of, I guess, the year. And what we do is we look at it and we'll bump it up or put it, just switch the roles on it. But the thing is, we would get to the issues. We discuss it. We would discuss it at closed session, which now is the meeting before the public meeting, which is now also open to the public. So I don't know, what do you call it? The first public meeting, the workshop? Yeah. So basically, I like to do a lot of homework and research on all the issues. So when I come in here, I am prepared. So whatever's on the agenda, I have read everything about it. What is upsetting to me is the fact that I've noticed, and I said this earlier, that it seems almost like it's staged, because last month, it was the MUA. But the thing is, we had a meeting prior to, but it was never brought up, even for discussion. And all of a sudden, a few residents came up and, started to talk about it, and before you knew it, an individual on the committee made a motion, and then there was a second. The pattern was again tonight, only this time it had to do with an investigation. So not that I'm against anything, but it's just the way it's done. And Jonathan, I had no problems with you coming up there expressing your concerns. There were many times in the past where you would call me, and you would say, what is your opinion on something? It's the fact of how it was done. Like, in other words, if it was discussed prior to, so at the workshop, and we had some kind of dialogue, again, open to the public, I just don't like to be, where it's thrown at us, there's a motion, and you don't even have time to think about anything. And I just wanted to get that on the record.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I want to thank the residents for coming out today. I see a few new faces here tonight. I see some, I won't say old faces, I see some faces that we haven't seen in quite some time that are certainly welcome to be here. So welcome, keep coming. This is your home. This is your town hall. This is your government. We work for you. Keep asking the questions. Keep bringing the cameras and cell phones. Tonight I'm seeing 3, 4, 5. This is what government is about. This is what democracy is about. So thank you for coming out. Just to lightly and gently, just as a point of clarification for the edification of the residents that may be thrown off with regards to parliamentary procedures as elected officials, we're responsible to govern and lead and make decisions that we feel are in the best interest of the town. So as residents ask us questions there, we ask and respond right there on the fly. And Committeewoman Talisa's right. Many a times when you guys ask us questions, make comments, or bring up issues, sometimes we're caught off guard for them. Some people take the fashion of saying, can you give me more time? Other people want to address them right then and there. With regards to the issue that was discussed earlier, we've been discussing it for months and months and months, and the evidence, I personally presented them, brought copies of the documents, showed everyone on this committee, everybody in town hall, with regards to the evidence. So there's nothing to study, there's nothing to relook again, so that's why we took the action. But moving forward, you do have my word that if there's anything inappropriate going on or has gone on, and I bring this to your attention, I think Mr. Wright is right. We should handle it, not just argue about it. That's senseless. Not just try to get sound bites about it. That's right. And we should bring that matter to conclusion. So I give you all the residents, taxpayers of West Hampton Township, moving forward, should something arise of that nature, and it merit an investigation, it merit a response, it merit some type of documentation. I'm not going to get into back and forth about that subject without seeking what's the result of it. You have my word that moving forward, we would be, or I will be, actively pursuing those to the fullest extent of the law moving forward. So you have my word. So thank you for that, and thank you all. Have a good night. The sun is still out.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone else for coming out as well. And I guess what I would say, while I understand the merits of each one of my colleagues and what they have expressed on the situation, I guess I'm in a foreboding position of being the longest-serving elected official sitting up here. So, I have a little bit of institutional history, a little institutional knowledge, and been around a long time. I would probably be chafed to want to adjourn tonight's meeting, have commentary ex parte outside of this official meeting, and discuss something, and then come back where someone could probably make a charge at me that my decision was either made because of or not because of an impending lawsuit. I think that is obvious and transparent and open to everyone here. I've made my representations of how I felt about the subject prior to, and what I have allegedly heard tonight. I think that out of an abundance of caution, I voted a particular way. For me, if it cost the township absolutely no treasury, and there are some allegations that could rise to the level of that West Hampton Township was denied fair and zealous representation, then it should be looked at, and it should not be looked at by anybody here. So I'm going to divest myself of that as quickly as I possibly can and put it in possibly the hands or a forum or a body that is most or best charged with looking at it. And I think that I feel clean in doing that. I think that you who hold us accountable require at least an arm's length distance. And what would a reasonable person do? I think that a reasonable person, when given knowledge that something untoward or something wrong may have happened, you pass it off to its proper destination. And that was my charge. I have no axe to grind. It's just doing your work. With that being said, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
We're actually going to not adjourn. We're going to continue some closed personnel matters.
Yes.
I believe we discussed earlier that we wanted to.
But then afterwards...
Can we adjourn and then go into the, or is that?
No, we can't.
We could take a brief break and allow the public to leave, and then come back into closed session.
But no action will be taken.
No action will be taken, no. And we can't adjourn.
No action.
Till the end.
So a motion to go into closed session?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, so we're going to go into closed
But
session,
there will be no action.
but there will be no action. And when we finish with that closed session, excuse me, will we be coming out of closed session and